This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Attacking Blues podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Funnell, and as always, I'm joined by my fellow co-host, Laurenz Vescoli. Hi, Laurenz.
How are you, Jimmy? How are you? It's not been the greatest week for Chelsea results-wise, but, we move on and let's talk about it.
Yeah. I mean, bit hungover, metaphorically speaking, after that week of football, but could have been worse, I guess.
Yeah.
Minimum requirement has been fulfilled, and there's always the aspect that one is never allowed to forget. We could be Arsenal, so it's always worse. And while we are recording this, Unai Emery has been sacked about 5 to 10 minutes ago. So my condolences to fans worldwide that the special one has been sacked. Can't be helped. But going back to the important topics of the matter, Chelsea. So we had two games this week. We had the Manchester City game over the past week, and we had the Valencia game. Before we do talk about this, please do subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Attacking Blues podcast. Also, if you haven't yet, then please do also subscribe to us on iTunes and Spotify and all those platforms. Give us a good rating on iTunes. We are, every time we get one, very grateful. Like some more if you do appreciate this podcast. That's pretty much it. Links will be in the description below. And let's get into Chelsea. So first game up, Manchester City, Laurenz. Pretty intense game at the start. We started off really well, and then things started to gradually get worse. I know we started to lose the midfield battle. Defense got shaky. Bit of a lucky shot on the first goal, and things changed. But let's start by concentrating on the first opening 20-25 minutes where Chelsea were dominating.
Yeah, that was really good. Like, we pressed high, we pressed well, not like over the top high, but we just pressed well as a team. We did everything right. The passing between Jorginho and Kovacic, the left, the right, everything worked really well. We managed to get in behind. Only the wingers were kind of not as involved, especially Pulisic early on. Although I think that was more manager instructions because he came inside way more than usual. And then his runs that he did make weren't found usually, which was a bit interesting. But yeah, it was really good to see. We got that goal in the end. Great 1-2 by Jorginho and Kovacic in midfield, and a great over-the-top ball by Kovacic to Kante, who controlled it really well, and then somehow managed to squeeze it past Edison, and it just kind of bobbled over the line really. But Tammy Abraham would have been there to, in just in case. So that was great. We took the lead. I was excited. I had just had my wisdom tooth removed the day before. Celebrating, bleeding mouth again. Because, as you do when you shout around like a crazy person and you have stitches in your face. So that wasn't fun, especially because it wasn't worth it in the end. And like you say, it kind of got a bit worse as it went on. We weren't fortunate for that equaliser. But after that, especially after the 2-1 where Emerson didn't look good, Kovacic didn't look good, but also it was just a very good individual goal. Let's not just put the blame on our defenders, on our players. Let's also praise a good piece of ability by Mahrez. If Hazard scored a goal like that for us, we would be saying how great Hazard is, not how bad the defenders are. It was also a good goal, let's be honest now. But after that, we were close to falling to pieces again, like last year when we lost 6-0. Like that Kepa mistake when Aguero then hit the post, the crossbar, whatever it was, and a couple of other chances where we just lost the ball in stupid positions. If that 3-1 goes in, we're probably down 4 or 5-1 by halftime, and then it's obviously all over. Like it felt literally like that game last year. Just that we conceded, like last year, we conceded way earlier, so we had way more time to fall into pieces. While now we only had about 10 minutes left before the break, and then the break saved us, and thankfully Aguero didn't take that chance for the 3-1, because I think that would not have gone well. Thankfully, the halftime, in my opinion, saved us. Lampard, fixed it up. A bit of a team talk and a bit of a, calming the heads obviously always helps with falling to pieces, if you will. And then going into the second half, City changed things a bit, and we got just not as quick and as good anymore with our passing. What City did first half, to me, still, they tried to press our centre-backs and our defenders. They realised, okay, that's clearly not working that well. Second half, they stopped actually pressing our defence. They just pressed our midfield, which meant we had way more possession than City. We had more possession than any other team that has ever faced Pep Guardiola. But I would assume that about 30% of our possession was shared between Tomori and Zuma, because literally it was just passing them two passing the ball between each other. And then things were made even worse when we took Jorginho off. I assume he was tired. I assume it was also because he was on a yellow card and then committed another foul after that.
Gets a yellow card each game. It's ridiculous at this point.
Although the one against Valencia,
that was ridiculous.
That yellow card is on Zuma. Zuma can just clear that ball and not let Jorginho in a sprinting battle against some Valencia player that he knows full well Jorginho's never going to win. And then things got even worse because Kovacic was trying, but Kovacic is really good at running with the ball, not at dictating play like Jorginho is. And then we just had nothing anymore, with the exception of Williams' volley just over the bar, which was a great volley, to be fair. But still, we had nothing other than that. And generally, in the second half, we had the Williams' volley and Kante's shot that Fernandinho just about blocked off the line. But other than that, our second half wasn't awful, but it wasn't like, okay, we're going to still try to get a result here, if you get me. If we were 2-1 up, that second half is a good performance. But because we're 2-1 down, that second half isn't a good performance, because we didn't create anything, but we were still constantly conceding counter-attacks, which I don't understand how we managed to do that. Sometimes it feels like we don't have enough men forward, but we still concede counter-attacks constantly. I'm a bit baffled by that.
Yeah, I will say something which probably not everyone will agree with, but for me, who was missing for a large part of that, I don't want to say bashing, but wasn't going too well, was Mason Mount. He's one of those who can play well under pressure and can press much better than other options that we have. I know it's Jorginho walking on eggshells didn't help, don't get me wrong, but I think with Mason Mount, that would have solidified our midfield quite a bit more. Every time when he has played, that has been the case, if you ask me. So,
well, do you think the problem was our pressing? Because
I'm saying it would have helped. I'm not saying that it was the sole problem, but at times, apart from the first 20 minutes, 20, 25 minutes where that did work, then that goal went in, and as we have seen this season, things fell apart. And after that, when they were pressing us, and City's just very good at that, they have the quality, the individual quality to do it, then we faltered. And I think that if, with the presence of certain Mason Mount, we could have tried to apply that without having to basically surrender any pressure that we had been doing, as we did after the goal was conceded. And I have to say, on the second goal, once again, it was down to pressure, because normally you'd have to actually already make a challenge on Riyad Mahrez before he gets into that box. And we didn't, and it cost us, because it's not only on Emerson. Emerson didn't look good there, don't get me wrong, but it seemed to me more like a miscommunication between him and Kovacic, because the way Kovacic was actually in, it seemed as if Emerson was reckoning, hey, he's going to go in. That wasn't the case then, and what happened was basically, well, as we saw it, that was a problem, without a doubt.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think Mason Mount would have changed much in that game because I thought our problem was that we didn't get our passing right, and that's why we couldn't move enough as well as we should second half. And I don't think Mason Mount makes that better. Not necessarily saying he makes it much worse, but I'm saying it doesn't make it significantly better. So I don't think it would have been much of a difference. It might have been a bit of a difference.
I disagree though.
Yeah, it might have been a bit of a difference in the first half an hour because he gives us a bit more of a link between the front three and the midfield. Not necessarily because he's that link, because, it's more him making runs that allow the wingers and sometimes Tammy to come deeper because there is someone in their position in Mason Mount. Because, I think that's more the way his link-up works, because that's why, he doesn't have that many passes. That's why he doesn't have that many assists and everything, because he kind of makes those runs that allows others to come in positions, which is also important. But yeah, it was a disappointing game, a disappointing performance in parts. But really, I put this on Twitter because I didn't do a review of my face being swollen. Like, some people were seemingly expecting us to beat City. Some people were seemingly expecting every player to be an 8 out of 10 at least against Man City. It's still Man City here. And let's not forget that if VAR has some sort of functioning capability in England, they probably beat Liverpool, in my opinion, because then they got 1-0 up, and I don't think City lose it that easily. At least get a draw. So it's not like they would be 9 points behind Liverpool now and everything. So it's not like we were beaten by some mugs here, right? We're still Man City.
Exactly.
We had a decent showing. We did much better than we did on a Conte when we lost 1-0 because we actually went there and tried to win. And we did much better than we did on Asari last year because we didn't get back to 6-0. So it is an improvement. We have to move on from here. It is what it is. You can't expect to go to City away with the situation we're in, losing Hazard, transfer ban, young players, all sorts, and win. Like, it's just what it is. Of course, it would have been great had we won. It would have been good if we got a draw. But, it's not going to be the be-all and end-all of our season just because we lost at the Etihad.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's ridiculous that people expect that we win. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's better for this to be the case than, for example, as it was last year, where people were basically always expecting us to lose every game in the big games. And, we've talked about this. I can't count how many times. I love Maurizio Sarri's tenure at Chelsea, but in the big games, we did have problems. And that's something which, of course, made you a bit worried. Now, when we go into games, I know we haven't won a big game this season, but nevertheless, I just feel confident when we go in. I know this sounds maybe
that's just
paradox, but it's just,
That's just you in your mind feeling confident, not because the team's any different.
Well, I just think the way we play and the cohesion in the team just basically makes it more likely that even though we are losing at the moment, at some point, it will just click. And we will win one of those games. We have enough opportunities in this league. And then things will hopefully change for the better. I mean, we have so many inexperienced youngsters playing, Kappa, for example, is the prime example of someone being low on confidence at the moment. I mean, the way he's been passing, if you compare that to last year, where we were saying it's impeccable, and he made some volley passes and all that kind of stuff, where you thought, holy shit, wow. And then this year, it's been kind of what is happening, and that is down to confidence, if you ask me. And that's why I believe that, once that goes away, we get a few good wins. He gets a few good saves. He did have, we'll talk about that still, but in the Valencia game, he had a great save, which kind of redeemed him. That one pass was atrocious, but nevertheless, that was a fantastic save near the end of the game. But point being, once we win those big games as well, then you'd expect him to also get a bit more confidence out of that. And
once we do,
chain reaction.
Once we do, I agree. But we haven't won a single big game yet. That is twice against United, twice against Liverpool, bottled the lead against Leicester, and lost to City as well, and even lost this game against Lyon, and even should have lost that game against Valencia. Now, last year we beat City, we beat Liverpool, we beat Arsenal, we beat Spurs. Like, I don't understand where this connotation of we didn't have a good record in big games on us. That makes no sense to me. Like, we beat City at home, we beat Arsenal 4-1 in the final, we beat Arsenal in one of the games, I think. We beat Spurs in the League Cup semis, and we beat them in the home league game. And only United we didn't beat, and Liverpool we beat away from home and got an unlucky draw at home. So I don't understand.
It wasn't that. Yeah, you've got a point. I mean, maybe it's just the 6-0, the 6-0 bashing that we got at the hands of Man City, which really stayed in one's mind, because that hasn't happened at Chelsea for ever. At least not in the Roman Abramovich era. Not that I can remember. I think, worst we've conceded was like a 4-4 draw against Liverpool in the Champions League, which I can remember. Otherwise, kind of blank on that.
We lost 4-0, 4-1 on the Conte, 3-0 on the Conte, but yeah.
Yeah, but that's like the new era, kind of thing with Conte, and that was out of character as well, because even though we weren't always playing good again with Conte, it wasn't like bashings. It was more like narrow losses, even though they could have lost. We could have lost higher. Yeah. Anyway, coming to the Manchester City game, I thought we competed well for those 20 minutes. Of course, that's not enough on this level, but it will come in time. And what I like to see is, do we see improvements? And improvements are being seen over time, and that's, for me, that's enough. I want to see improvements so that we're not basically not moving forward, as you see with Arsenal. Because if Unai Emery was losing, but they were showing signs of improvement, gradual improvement, then there wouldn't have been so many cries for him to get sacked. The same with Maurizio Pochettino, because I know that Maurizio Pochettino had already been there far longer, and improvement, he was supposed to win trophies, blah, blah, blah. But taking this season into context, if he hadn't, been consistently always getting worse, but that had to do with a lot of factors, not just the coach. But if he would have shown that, then I don't think they would have sacked him. It's always about how you lose. I know it sounds weird, but it is. And Frank Lampard, when he has lost this season, there's always been a reaction. The team has said the right things. They're playing for their manager. That is also something that's essential. And that's why I personally think, we lost against Man City. But as you said, losing against Man City at the Etihad, any team in the world can do that. And it wasn't like bashing. It was 2-1. Take it, dust ourselves off.
But yeah.
Nevertheless, point being, dust ourselves off. That's it. Yeah.
The only thing I'm not sure on is there's improvement in the big games, considering how close we were to beating Liverpool in the Super Cup, and we were nowhere near as close to beating City now in this game. And our worst performance in a big game was against Man United at home in a cup. I thought that was much worse than the 4-0, even though we lost 4-0 and the other one we didn't, and we lost 2-0. Not 2-0. How much did we lose by 2-1? Yeah, 2-1.
2-1.
Yeah, I thought that was our worst performance. So we had United as the last big game before this, and now City here. So I'm not sure about. I agree with everything you said. I'm just not sure I'm seeing the improvement in big games. But because I tweeted this yesterday. The last 2 games have made me lose so much confidence in our attack. I feel like we can't do anything except Reece James crossing. I feel like everything else is just luck. Kovacic's goal, the ball falls to him, great shot in the end, but it's luck. Pulisic's goal, great reaction, but it's just luck. And then Tevin can't control the ball.
Kovacic's goal?
No, sorry. How can that be luck? Hold on. It's luck that the ball falls to him in that position. It's not out of play movements and plays that created that chance for us, if you will. That's what I'm saying. Obviously, the goal was a great shot and, a great take. But Tammy, to me, at the moment, can't control the ball. can't hold up a ball. And then when he tries to run with it, he does something too fancy and loses it. Once he's in the box, I'm happy with him. How he tried to get on the end of those Reece James crosses against Valencia, I was happy with. But I don't know. I don't feel like we're going to score anything except if a Reece James cross comes, like it's met in the middle. I don't feel like we're going to score from anything at the moment. Like in the last 2 games, that will probably be different again against West Ham, although we don't have Tammy, so we'll see about that.
Has that been confirmed?
Nah, but I think it hasn't been confirmed. But I'm very confident that he won't play against West Ham. But yeah, maybe that's just me. But let's just get into the Valencia game because I just mentioned, the last 2 games. Because we got a 2-2 draw away at Valencia, a result that is okay. It's neither good nor bad. Because winning would have taken us straight through to the knockout stage of the Champions League. Losing would have made it very difficult for us to go through because we would have needed an already qualified Valencia to beat Ajax while we still beat Lille ourselves. Now, with that draw, we just need to beat Lille no matter what the other 2 do. The other 2 will only impact whether we come first or second in the group. So we still have it all to do. We still have it all in our own hands. But Lille, even though they've only got 1 point so far, they should not be underestimated in the slightest.
They played well.
They gave us a good game. They were unfortunate to lose 4-1 at Valencia. They got a draw with Valencia in the first game round. Okay, Ajax beat them pretty comfortably each time round, but Lille still had their chances and just didn't take them in both occasions. And it definitely won't be a game to underestimate, especially with the pressure that will be on the players. And very young players, aren't as used to pressure as more experienced players. So that will be a little bit different as to, I don't know, when we had our spine and pressure was like made us play better, if anything. So it will be tough. But sticking to the Valencia game, it was a crazy game. And frankly, I was very disappointed. I thought we were shocking. Except somehow we still created like 4 or 5 or 6 big chances and could have still scored 4 or 5 goals. But Valencia could have scored about 10, it felt like. We couldn't defend. The whole midfield 3 was shocking. All of them 3, in my opinion. Kovacic, okay, going forward, he was good. But defensively, I didn't see him at all. But again, people criticize me for saying that. I'm like, maybe I just didn't see it. I'm saying for me. Then the whole left back, right back situation. Emerson comes off against City. Aspie goes over there, plays well at left back. Plays the left back against Valencia is shocking. The only good player I thought was Reece James, and even he messed up for the first goal we conceded. Obviously,
He wasn't the only one. To be
fair.
No.
The
whole defense was a shambles there.
But his move was by far the worst. He didn't even clock anyone was around him. He didn't try to mark the guy that was in front of him that he could visually see. And he didn't even realize or think about the fact that someone could be running in behind him. Either which way, it doesn't matter now.
He can't cover for everyone in that defense.
No, but he didn't cover either. So, because
he
covered the one guy, then fair enough. But he didn't cover the other guy. It
seemed to me like a classic caught in 2 minds, don't you think? Because Zuma going out to the wing, I don't understand why he did. Yeah. I can't remember who was with him on the wing at the time, but I don't know why he didn't stay out. Was it Aspie? Because I don't get why he didn't just stay out there and let Zuma go in, because exactly where Zuma would have been standing, the goal happened. And we need his presence there, not on the bloody wing. That made no sense to me. And generally, Christensen was also in no man's land. Generally, that partnership didn't work.
To me can't do much for that because the cross was over him. He can't go out.
His positioning wasn't on point there, if you ask me. Well, anywhere where a player is, because he was in no man's land. He could have had better positioning. I'll agree with you that he wasn't the worst of the bunch there, but they were all accountable.
I don't think you can blame Christensen for that goal, but yeah,
I think each of them, every 4 could have done better. Some more than others.
Yeah,
but point is, the partnership, Zuma and Tomori, for me, even though I love Christensen and I want us to keep him, is our starting partnership at the moment. Because, I don't know, even though we have conceded goals, we never looked as shaky as we did with Zuma and Tomori.
Yeah. That some criticism has to go to Frank Lampard here as well. Like I said, just quickly going back to that, not everyone was shocking at all times. Tammy was good in the box. Pulisic was good in some moments. and then was a bit quiet in other moments. William was good in some moments and then
Mm-hmm.
quiet in other moments, even though some people thought William was awful, shocking.
He was. In the first 15 minutes, he wasn't able to keep a ball. He passed the ball, it went to the opposition. He received the ball, it was taken away.
That's why we
No,
conceded.
I wouldn't say that. But William was exceptionally bad because every time a ball came to him and we were in the forward movement, he fluffed it. Every time we couldn't mount pressure because he was fluffing everything. Also, his corners are so bad. So bad. We have not got a good set piece taker in William, except on that position from the left when he goes in like this. That's the only way, because every corner he takes is crap. It doesn't get into a dangerous position. Every corner Mason Mount takes at least has the chance of getting in a dangerous position. Just have to say that. So I thought he did have a bad game, at least in the first 15 minutes or so.
Oh no, okay, yeah, I agree. Like I say, I think everyone had poor spells throughout the game. Even Pulisic had moments where he just didn't move. Sometimes he was just like, "We're in the counter attack here. Pulisic, move! You're quick, run, do something." And he didn't. But it happens. That is fine to me. But what I want to get onto Frank Lampard for is, why on earth are you taking off our quickest centre back against a very quick counter attacking team? What is that logic? I don't understand. And why would you put Zuma, who's looked good at right centre back, at left centre back, when he didn't look good at left centre back ever, really? No. Like, I don't understand any of this. Like, surely Christensen is the more advanced player, the more technically gifted player. So if anyone should be moving around positions here, it's Christensen moving over to left centre back, because he hasn't been playing regularly anyway. Zuma is used to playing right centre back and used to the game mechanics of playing in that position. Christensen hasn't played, so just bring him on at left centre back. Like, I honestly, I'm baffled by that. And okay, I even said to my preview ahead of the game that I would try Aspie left back, Reece James right back. Reece James was great going forward, also for the most part defensively. Aspie is why I don't usually want him at left back, but then Emerson being poor against City and Aspie actually doing quite well there made me think, maybe he's better than I thought and better than I remember. Turns out he isn't, especially if you pressure him. Because
it was just one game.
Lawrence. No, I agree.
He has been very good at left back over the years, and I thought when he has played this season, he has been good, better than at right back.
Him playing left back now to him playing left back under Mourinho is so different. Because we're an attacking team now, it's so different. And because he's so right-footed and he basically doesn't own left foot, he always has the ball on his right. Means he always has the ball into the field. Means it's always easy to pressurize him and steal the ball from him. While when he plays on the right, he can shield it with his body. He can't do that on the left because he doesn't use his left foot. Means he always has to pass the ball quickly, and he can't do an Emerson where sometimes he takes a bit of a moment, makes a bit of a movement to find a good pass to a teammate that opens up space even when he's pressurized. He can't do that. It's basically like Alonso. Just Alonso has the left foot, but he still can't do it.
Yeah, but going forward, if someone is going at him, taking him on left back, he has the ability, being right-footed, to shepherd him out to the byline, because that is something in one-on-one, Aspie won't get burnt there. That is the good thing. Going forward, of course, he isn't going to be a great outlet, but defensively, he's been good when hasn't been pressured to go forward, because he can take on any defender there with his positioning. Because if someone cuts in, which is normally very frequently the case nowadays, that wingers like to cut inside, they will have a problem, because Azpilicueta being strong as right side, he's going to cause them problems, and he can also shepherd them out better, if you ask me, than for example Emerson. Of course, offensively, attacking wise, Azpilicueta is not going to do much on the left, but that means that the right side has to be even more important, and Reece James can do that. He can offer that.
Yeah, but to me, I think it's not as easy as separating defense and attack, because to me it's just ball possession. When we have the ball in our own third but trying to start an attack, and the ball is at the left back, and he can't, sustain pressure, or is that the right term? As in, he can't be pressurized.
No, it's fine, yeah.
Yeah. And then we lose the ball there. That's, in a sense, defending. It's not one-on-one defending, which you're completely right at. He's very good at that. But if he loses the ball in that position, that's kind of being a problem defensively as well, not just going forward. I'm not talking about him not being able to cross with his left foot. I don't care about that. It's fine. If he plays left back, that's just what it is. But the problem is when just before the halfway line, around the halfway line, or even just over it, he's on the ball and he's being pressurized and he loses the ball, and then we can see a kind of counter attack. That's my problem with him playing left back. But then Emerson, had his problems against Man City as well. So at the moment, we just don't seem to have all the best options there. But I'm hoping Emerson can get into the flow that he had at the start of this season again. But yeah, I mean, just quickly going back to the game, we were lucky early on. Valencia missed 2 absolute sitters in Maxi Gomez. One of them, to be fair, was a good Kepa, to be fair. Like the second one.
But that first one, how?
I don't know what he did.
No one knows. I don't think he knows himself.
It's a bit like Morata the day before, but Morata had the excuse of being offside. But that's just Morata, offside and a miss. If there's ever a definition of Morata, it's being offside and missing. But, literally, that is one of the misses. Like, the worst miss I've ever seen, honestly. Like, how can you not to hit the ball? That is ridiculous. So we got away with a couple. Then we conceded, and 90 seconds later or so, we equalised through Kovacic's first goal in 140, 150 games or so. First goal for the club. Great. What a time to score that first goal. Because
great reaction.
Yeah, we really needed it. Going to the second half, we somehow make it 2-1 with one of the longest VAR decisions I've ever seen. But in the end, the correct decision. Although I understand Valencia arguing about Zuma pushing the guy down when he won that header. I wouldn't have been surprised had they not given the goal because they gave that as a foul. But they didn't. And Pulisic was onside, so everything's fine. Then we give away a penalty. Or did we concede the 2-2 before? No. Then we give away a penalty, which no way in hell is ever a penalty. Like, I don't know what that ref was doing, and I don't know what VAR was doing. The guy ran into Jorginho. Not Jorginho ran into him. And Jorginho tried to clear the ball, was literally swinging his foot to clear the ball, and the guy just clattered into him. I don't know why they received a penalty. And then we go to that outstanding save that you mentioned earlier by Kepa, because that was not just any penalty save, that was a really, really good penalty save. Because that was not a badly taken penalty in the slightest.
No.
Really strong hand. I mean, it wasn't right in the top corner. Of course it wasn't. But it was going pretty far up that corner. And he did really well to save it. And fair play. Stayed on his line as well. So we didn't have any kerfuffles with VAR saying, we need to retake it and all that kind of bollocks. So that was great. And then we conceded anyway.
Stay up to date with the latest in Major League Baseball with the Into the Shift Baseball podcast. Are you tired of the same old way baseball writers complain about the new changes in the game? Well, this is not the show for you. The Into the Shift podcast with a modern take on what makes baseball great.
And the ball will be hit into the shift. They get an out, it's only because of that shift. And they do! And that's why you follow the numbers.
Join co-hosts Max Gross and Kyle McAravy for weekly updates every Sunday night, or find us on Twitter at Into the Shift Pod. It's the Into the Shift Baseball Podcast.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair to the players, people say, we can't, keep a lead, and the players have to improve there. And, I agree to a certain extent, but come on, that was a free goal. I mean, the player didn't mean to score it, and Kepa was just baffled by that. And he wasn't reckoning with that. He was thinking it was a cross, and then it creeped in. But think of the Zappacosta goal against Karabakh. That was just luck, and it's great to see. And they were ecstatic, understandably. But you can't pin it on the defense. You can't really pin it on the midfielders. They were shepherding him out. No, they were shepherding him out. And they were waiting. Okay, what's the next move? The cross wasn't blocked. That can happen. Happens a lot. And then that cross just went in. So I don't think it's on the team to not being able to see out a game here, or on Emerson, or on Kepa, or anyone. I think that would be harsh. Of course one could say Emerson, close him down.
I agree with you.
But generally it'd be harsh to really fault anyone or the whole team or Lampard or whoever to say, we didn't see out this game, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't matter which top team plays, that situation can happen to anyone. Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. One thing I will say on what you said with VAR, I mean, we've been fucked over by referees in our recent history a lot. No one likes Chelsea, it seems.
Even against Valencia, to be honest, except for the goal we got.
Yeah, but that, I mean, the yellow card that Kante received says it all.
Yeah.
What the actual fuck? That was one of the best tackles on the night. Clean, typical Kante, gets booked. And generally, I mean, I have to quote Jermaine Jenas here. No one likes Jermaine Jenas as a Chelsea fan. He's a git and he's biased as hell when it comes to Tottenham. We remember that when he was salty when we beat Tottenham quite a few times in the past, the recent past. But even he said that was so blatantly obvious that this referee was trying to get Valencia back in this game, was disrupting play, was giving free kicks for nothing. And that one also has to say, even though Valencia has a good team, a nice coach, the typical Spanish.
Yeah.
And I don't mean this in any racist way, but any La Liga team plays to at least have 20 minutes on the clock, which they're lying on the ground and rolling around.
To be fair, they did that first half, really. Like
yeah, they did that first half.
When Willian got booked for that hand in the face, which I'm like, how? Like, how does he even, like, what? I'm sure the guy barely even felt Willian's hand in his face. And it wasn't even his face, it was his throat.
And he was holding him. That he was pulling him back first. So that must actually be overruled. Even though if he would give Willian a yellow card for that lashing out, he has to blow the one first, because Willian was fouled before, but he doesn't give that. And that's ridiculous. If you want for Chelsea to get a free kick, Willian gets a yellow card because of that, even though it wasn't. We agree on that. But then you have to do this in a fair way, and he didn't. He was biased. It's very easy to give put the fault on the referee now normally, and I try to avoid to. But this was, I mean, as easy as it gets. And UEFA don't like Chelsea, we know that. I think that was the worst refereeing performance I've seen in the Champions League for Chelsea since that one night. And I think you know which one I'm talking about. So,
I mean, I can't remember every game, but it is
Ovrabo.
Yeah.
That Barcelona game.
No. I mean, I can't remember every game since then. Obviously, I knew which game you went.
Okay.
No, I get you. But yeah, it might have been up to. It certainly might have been, and I completely agree. The goal is a free goal, and it's just like we're the only team that keeps conceding this many ridiculous screamers, whether they're by skill or by luck. Like, think back to a 1-1 draw against Liverpool last season when Sturridge scores that screamer to equalise in the last minute. When Henderson a few years ago scores the absolute screamer into the top corner against us. When Salah scores that absolute screamer into the top corner against us. Rashford, that free kick, as much as it's a great free kick, he scores that once in a million. Like, how does everyone score these fucking screamers against us? It's infuriating. Like, it really pisses me off. And that's just one of those. The only thing I'm not sure, I agree that you can't blame anyone particularly for that goal, but the team really didn't try hard to hold on to the lead, considering how many counter-attacks we let them have. I know it was 2-2 by the end, but still, they had about 3 sitters to win 3-2 at the end because we were tired, I get it, but we overcommitted, and again, we don't make the right decisions in the final third, don't get enough players in the right positions, but still they're not defensive enough, and as soon as we lose the ball, they hit the break and we're out and we're just nowhere. And that's obviously made even worse by Tomori not playing because he is by far the quickest centre-back, so he's the only one that can really, or the one that is most able to do something about a quick counter-attack. And then you don't start him. So I'm still baffled by that decision by Lampard. And no one can tell me I needed a rest or something. He played, 5 minutes for England international break, which was the week before. So, he can't have needed a rest. No. He can't have needed a rest. And none of our players needed a rest because bar Jorginho, none of our players play every game for the national team anyway. So, Pulisic, but he wasn't part of the national team this time around. So, basically international breaks, even when they have to go away, it's kind of like rest week for our players, bar Jorginho and Kovacic and Pulisic when he has to go. See, we didn't like that. But you know what I'm saying. We had our chances. Silasson made a great save of Tammy Abraham first half at 0-0. Made a really good reaction save to a deflected shot by Michy Batshuayi later on in the game as well, because that could easily have gone in. And there was a couple of other moments where we could have just done a bit better, but we didn't. And at the end of the day, like I said, it's still in our own hands. It's 2-0. And I think unless you have anything else to add on the Valencia game, I think we should probably touch on West Ham, because something that is still to do with Valencia. Tammy Abraham, of course, picked up that injury just before half-time. I think it was a corner. It was up in a duel, and he fell awkwardly kind of on the knee of an opponent with his hip. And
He barged into him. Yeah, who barged into him.
Yeah, okay.
No, I'm just saying he barged into him, because that was also actually something that you could count as a foul. Wasn't given. Because that,
not a
for
foul.
me,
Okay.
I believe it's a foul. He barged into him without really considering, am I going to get this ball? And whacked him over. And I mean, I'm not saying it was intentional in the way that it was malicious intent, but still, for me, that was a foul. But okay, not the first time that we disagree on something. So
yeah, it would be boring if we disagreed if we agreed.
Yeah, I think no. Regard to the Valencia game, I think the only other thing one can say is great that Pulisic scored. Love to see him score, because it gives him confidence, and we need that. Otherwise, yeah, West Ham. I think
because obviously,
yeah, sure, Tammy. But if he's not playing, we've got two very capable strikers. I'm not worried about that. I mean, I'm sad that Tammy isn't playing, because I want him to go on with his scoring record. Okay. But I think Michy Batshuayi will jeopardize that.
Really?
What effect? No one wants to lose a player, but I think in the striking position we've got enough depth to say we can cope with it. I think Michy Batshuayi for one game. If he would be out for the foreseeable future, of course that would be a blow. No question about it. But I think for this one game, a West Ham team that isn't doing well at all, even though I think Manuel Pellegrini is a great coach, but I don't know what's going on there, which is good for us. But normally we should be beating them on Saturday. I say very carefully. I'm cautiously optimistic, and I think that Michy Batshuayi will be perfectly capable of filling in here. However, I hope that he has learned to not be so selfish, because I like that always about him. They just likes to take on the shot. We've had that over the years, far too little. If you think Hazard and Willian, who themselves always said, yeah, we don't take on the shots always. Pedro at times, but he plays too much with the ball. Schürrle was the last guy who really liked to take a shot more often than not. Costa also, at the start, yeah, he was very clinical, but then also liked to drift out to the wings, and then all that. It was point being, Michy Batshuayi takes on a shot. That's great, but there have been situations this season where 10 out of 10 times you've got to pass that ball, and he didn't. He took on a shot, and that was when he was a substitute. I hope that he'll do it differently.
And against United from the start as well, actually.
Yeah, I hope he'll do it differently when he starts on Saturday, which I presume. I mean, freak incident could be that Giroud plays. Can't imagine. So,
would be surprising. Let's be honest.
Would be very surprising. So, yeah. I mean, otherwise, I'd go on with Reece James and, well, either Cesar Azpilicueta or Emerson. I'll leave that up to Lampard. But Reece James, for me, has to continue starting. He's showing some great performances. He is, at the moment, our best performing fullback, if you like it or not, at least in regard to who can do it consistently. And that's why I think he has to start, in great attacking outlet. He's full of confidence. He's a bulldozer. Yeah. And Tomori and Zuma. I don't know what he's going to do about the midfield battle. I'm really excited to see Loftus-Cheek return soon. And I have to wait and see. Rudiger's back in training, by the way. So who knows? Maybe he has a shot.
I doubt it, but...
I doubt it as well, but, who knows?
Yeah.
Good to have options. But Zuma and Tomori have to start. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree. What I wanted to ask you is, because I was really surprised by going with the defensive midfield three again against Valencia. I expected it and I wanted it against it. Didn't see it coming against Valencia at all. And, I said it in my preview at the time that it was really going to be about, does Lampard see it more as a must lose, or does he see the Valencia game more as a must win? And he even said in the press conference it's a must not lose to him. And that's what the midfield three suggested to him. But there's a couple of things that I don't understand about it. Kante is so far forward all the time and so far out wide to the right that I'm like, we take all the defensive capabilities that Kante has and kind of just waste them. Like, people say he played too far forward under Sarri. I'm like, he's basically playing like Mount as a second striker at times. Like, it's ridiculous how high up the pitch he is. And then they hit us on the break and we have Kovacic and Jorginho back. And I'm like, that's exactly what I need Kante to be, trying to stop these counter-attacks. And then it's good that in offensive play we are flexible and everything, and Kante ends up on the wing at times. But then when we lose the ball and he's basically by the corner flag, then I'm like, he's not going to be particularly helpful in stopping any attacks against us, is it? I'm just baffled. Like, I didn't understand why he started with that three in the first place, and I didn't understand why Kante would be so attacking against a counter-attacking team. Like, honestly, I was a bit. I don't understand. And now because we are talking about West Ham, I want to know, because I personally would bring Mason Mount back against West Ham, and I want to know who you would drop out of the midfield three that started the last two, because, well, you probably need to drop one because you're not dropping Pulisic. I guess you could drop Willian, but Hudson-Odoi is back, and I don't want to see Mount start on the wing against West Ham, in all honesty.
I mean, I actually wouldn't mind Mount starting the wing just to facilitate him being in the team, because I think it's difficult who you take out of the equation from those three, because Jorginho has been integral this season. I mean, there have been some good arguments that have been reasoning why in the system, the way of this system and the way we play, Jorginho doesn't necessarily fit as well as he could in another system or another style of play. I had that on the other podcast, which was actually a quite valid argument, even though I didn't necessarily agree, but it made some good points in that regard. But, you wouldn't want to drop him. Kovacic, he's been in the best form since joining up, and Kante is Kante. So who do you drop? It's very difficult. I think one has to just basically, bite the bullet and drop one of them. I don't know who you drop, but someone has to be dropped because Mason Mount has to play. It's just essential that he does play, especially going forward. And otherwise, Callum Hudson-Odoi is not going to play. Let's be honest. He's not going to play. He's going to start on the bench. So I know. I agree that we don't want Willian to get dropped then, because we know he will otherwise get subbed in instead of Callum Hudson-Odoi. So that means if you start with Willian and Christian Pulisic, then Mason Mount has to take up that kind of 10 role, or in the 4-2-3 in the middle, 4-2-3-1. Yeah, that means one has to be dropped. If you point, I don't know, if
it's tricky, isn't it?
Gun to my head, I'd have to say Kovacic, because then you let N'Golo Kante drop deeper, as you were referring to before, and mop up while Jorginho dictates play, and Mason Mount can press the forward line with Willian and Christian Pulisic. I think that would have to be me dropping Kovacic, even though he's been fantastic. But, N'Golo Kante is Kante, and I believe in Jorginho being just as essential as Mason Mount. So, yeah, pretty much that. I think the lineup otherwise picks itself,
Yeah. Except left back, I guess. But...
At what?
Except left back, I guess. Because it could be Emerson or Aspie.
For me, I mean,
whether Reece James starts.
For me, I think it's got to be Azpilicueta, because even though...
West Ham.
Yeah, I would play Azpilicueta against West Ham because they've got some very capable wingers in Felipe Anderson.
Who plays on the right for them anyway? I haven't done my research on them yet.
I think it varies, but Antonio doesn't start regularly nowadays, if I'm not mistaken.
These days?
Sorry?
Is Yarmolenko fit these days?
Yeah, but he's more of a backup option, if I'm not mistaken. So I think actually who starts there is Felipe Anderson.
On the right?
Oh, he has. Wait a minute.
Sure, he's a winger.
Well, traditionally, from his Lazio days, he's actually a 10. But
yeah.
But
yeah.
Okay, no. In the last game against Tottenham, Yarmolenko started. He was then replaced by Antonio, if I'm not mistaken, or Fornals. Fornals can also play on the right. He does for them. So I don't know. It will probably be either Antonio, Yarmolenko, or Fornals who plays. And I think against Yarmolenko and Fornals, Azpilicueta is a good choice. Antonio, the guy's speed's ridiculous. Pace.
But he's also strong, so it's kind of like both that either Emerson or Ashby struggle with.
Yeah, I think actually if
West Ham's smart, they start Antonio against us.
Yeah, and I think nevertheless, even though Emerson has been great for us, and I love Emerson to bits, and I want him to be our starting left back, at this point in time, I'd start Azpilicueta. No, it doesn't matter who starts. I'd have to start Azpilicueta. Even if he has a deeper starting position, which might actually make it easier against Antonio. We already know that side won't be a huge attacking outlet. I think that would have to be for me. And then Reece James on the right, of course.
Yeah. Now, firstly, I personally wouldn't be surprised if Lampard goes back to not starting Reece James and starts Aspie on the right and Emerson on the left. I wouldn't be surprised if Lampard does that.
Maybe.
So we'll just have to wait and see. But as for the midfield, you saw how long it took you to actually make a decision, because that's how difficult it is. That's how difficult it is. The only thing I want to touch on is what you guys spoke on the other podcast about, the whole Jorginho thing. And I'm like, well, so why is it that we were significantly worse each time we took Jorginho off in the last 2 games? We didn't have a single attack anymore, really. That was a structured attack, and we conceded 50 more chances than we did before. So, that whole argument to me just makes no sense. He shouldn't get himself booked that much. That's the only argument against him I would agree with. And I still don't understand how, if it's a penalty, how he didn't get sent off for it. I don't understand why. How's that then not a second yellow? So to me, the ref was never sure in the first place, and then was probably a bit surprised that VAR didn't actually overturn it. But whichever it may be, personally, against the West Ham, I would actually drop Kante. But you make a very good point. If we make him play deeper, that could be him different. But the way he played against, even though he scored against City and Valencia, I don't need that Kante. I don't need Kante being a number 10. And even his tackling wasn't always perfect. Okay, some of them with the ref just messed him up. He made perfectly fine tackles and the ref booked him or gave fouls. But some tackles, he tried to go in, missed the tackle, and then I had to run after the guy. That's not the Kante I'm used to. And he, needs some time because he was out for a long time. And on and off and on and off. And he's only played, 2 or 3 games? Okay, he played for France, yes, I get it. But still, he's not been back for long, and I'm sure that will improve again. Just the timing on the pitch, that takes a little bit of time to get back into, I guess. But against the West Ham, with how well Jorginho and Kovacic together worked, I would, if the situation you said, if I had a gun pointed to my head, I would probably drop Kante, just because I'm like, it's West Ham, just bloody outplay the shits. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I mean, Kovacic has been playing that good that one can make an argument for that. But yeah, I think it's a difficult decision, and thank God it's on Frank Lampard and not on us.
Because ability-wise, Kante is probably the best player in our squad right now. So it sounds stupid. He's probably the only world-class player. I put Jorginho in there as well. Possibly put Kovacic in there, but he needs to do that for longer for me to class him as that. But so he's maybe the only or one of 2 world-class players in our team. So I'm like, how can I drop him? But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but I think Kante doesn't suit the way we play way more than Jorginho doesn't suit the way we play personally. But maybe that's just me.
I can't remember each argument that he made. I'd have to listen back to it and come back to you on that. But there are arguments for that and the way we play in regard to the way we play. But, that's something for another podcast. Yeah, I think we're pretty much done here now.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're done. Let's hope Kepa can find his feet a little bit more, particularly his feet. Because... bloody hell, lads. Like, he makes it so difficult for him. Like, just if you don't trust yourself to make difficult passes, keep them simple. Okay, he also misplaced a couple simple passes, but still. So let's hope we can sort that out, because then, like you said, I think we should be fine against West Ham. But yeah, guys, we're going to leave it here. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening, whichever platform you did use to tune in, I guess. Like Jimmy said in the beginning, if you are new to our YouTube channel, please be sure to subscribe, drop a like on this podcast, on this video. If you enjoyed it, do the same thing on iTunes and Spotify. Follow us over there. Leave us a good rating, especially on the iTunes, of course. And other than that, we'll see you again next week. Let's hope we can get a good result. Of course, we play Villa on Wednesday as well. So we have a Premier League midweek game next week, which will be interesting. And yeah, other than that, thank you guys for tuning in. Keep the blue flag flying high, and we'll see you next time.